Before the Soviet invasion in 1979, Afghanistan was a moderate and peaceful country. Kabul was a cosmopolitan city, a fascinating blend of new and old, east and west, tradition and modernity. EP backpackers from Europe and America sipped tea with villagers and tribal leaders in our beautiful countryside. We cherished our rich traditional and culture as much as we enjoyed our soccer matches and our modern university. Women played their modest part in Afghanistan's economic, social, and political life, and held the senior positions in the government and parliament. Over 50% of teachers were women. My mother-in-law was a teacher, and my mother ran a nursing clinic. In the major cities, women had a clear voice. They could vote, express their opinion, and especially in the urban areas, dress and fashion that they saw fit. Wearing the now infamous burqa was never forced by the government before the Civil War. After Afghanistan was plunged into nearly 2 decades of war and violence, that all changed. During that dark period, the country's physical and educational infrastructures were devastated. Women were not only silenced, they vanished from public life altogether. Especially under the rule of the Taliban, women were completely deprived of their most fundamental human rights, the right to education, as well as the right to work and travel, among others. Healthcare for women became almost non-existent. This is a topic that I will return in a few minutes. The Taliban deprived them of their natural right to attend school. War brought about poverty and joblessness. With parents and refugees barely able to feed their sons and daughters, children were forced to work and beg for crumbs to provide for their families. They could not play soccer, fly a kite, or even laugh out loud. Many crimes were committed in Afghanistan during that time, but robbing an entire generation of boys and girls of their basic right to education ran amongst the worst. With your assistance and support, 10 years ago, the Afghan, or 11 years ago, the Afghan people started a new journey and got an opportunity to start to rebuild their country. In 2001, the Afghan people inherited a healthcare system that had been systematically dismantled, with hospitals reduced to ashes by mortar shells and health clinics looted by criminals. Malnutrition rates were staggering. Disease was uncontrolled and access to medicine was severely lacking. The process of rebuilding the healthcare and education infrastructures started. However, we still have a great deal of catching up to do. Despite our progress in improving access to healthcare, many Afghan women still lose their lives during childbirth or pregnancy. Tragically, Afghanistan is still one of the most unsafe places in the world to be born or to deliver a child. Even today, in 2012, we still have one of the highest infant mortality rates in the world. 60 deaths for every 1,000 births. The average life expectancy of an Afghan is 46 years, half of an American's life expectancy. We read in the news about the many Afghans who lose their lives as a result of terrorist attacks. But some 18,000 women and girls die every year due to preventable complications related to pregnancy. Afghan women have come a long way, but we are not yet out of the woods. Fortunately today, Afghans enjoy more political, economic and social freedom than at any time in our recent history. However, such accomplishments are fragile and may be reversed if the Taliban acquire a major role in the government. In the major cities, we have been able to improve the socio-economic condition of women. However, life of a woman in the countryside has not improved significantly. The Afghan government, with the assistance of the international community, established key institutions of civil society and democratic governance. This included a new progressive constitution, an independent judiciary and parliament, a powerful human rights commission, an electoral system, a national army, a new police force, political parties, and free press in which women have developed a strong voice. However, Afghan women are concerned that a hasty withdrawal of the international forces may cause the gradual collapse of these newly established institutions. Today, the main fear of many Afghan women is abandonment by their own government and the international community. We are proud of the fact that the Afghan women have acquired powerful voices. We also know that they are still underutilized agents of fundamental cultural changes in our traditional society. Insecurity and uncertainty as our main enemies are still widespread throughout the countryside and may increase with your troops withdrawal. Afghan women who enter political life at the most senior levels as a presidential candidates, senators, ministers, governors, and ambassadors will not allow Afghanistan to return to the dark day of the Taliban. Afghan women are pragmatic and savvy. They understand that their political and social gains are still shaky and require sustained support and attention by the international community and friends like you. When I travel to Afghanistan, the most common question asked by Afghan women is, will the United States and the rest of the world stay with us? The basic concern of an Afghan woman is not insecurity, it is uncertainty. They do not see a long-term clear strategy being formulated by their own government or the international community. While most Afghans support the Afghan government's reconciliation efforts over a continued war and violence, Afghan women and civil society leaders do not want reconciliation to be a one-sided amnesty of past crimes or a license for future atrocity and oppression. So dear friend, let me tell you about current incidents just happened recently that most of you probably read about it on the news. So most of you may have seen the horrific video of a Taliban fighter execution of an elderly woman last month in the outskirts of Kabul. The shocking video recalls the Taliban's 5-year brutality in Afghanistan, when people accused of crimes were shot in front of crowds in the capital's soccer stadium. So according to the Afghanistan's Independent Human Rights Commission, unfortunately, violence against women has increased sharply in the past year. The Afghan women have responded to this atrocity in Kabul last month by organizing protests and demonstrations. They will not submit to brutality and are determined to safeguard their rights. So now, just allow me to return to the vital issue of education for women that I mentioned a little bit. In order to fully realize women's potential, we need to further invest in the education and economic empowerment of Afghan women and and sustain these existing programs. We need to give assurance that the international community will not abandon Afghanistan and Afghan women. Without sustaining fully access to quality education and employment, the newly adopted liberal laws cannot protect and continue to improve the quality of life for women. In most cases, cultural impediments are still preventing women from fully realizing their dreams and potential. Culture cannot be changed with laws and decrees. Only quality education can change repressive culture. On my recent trip to Kabul and Bamyan, I visited schools and health clinics and spoke with women from many different organizations to find how they feel about the current situation in Afghanistan and what most worries them for the future. I realized that most Afghan women are concerned about what I just mentioned: abandonment by the international community and return of the Taliban, which will lead to isolation and unemployment for a majority of Afghan women. They all want to safeguard the rights of their children to education. Today, even illiterate Afghan women enjoy freedom and have fully realized what they have been missing out on. They do not want their daughters to suffer as they did. My mission and mission of my foundation, Ayenda Foundation, is to make sure the process of improving the life of Afghan women continues and gain more momentum. And now I would like to tell you a little bit about my foundation and how my foundation endeavors to address the concerns and needs of Afghan women and their children. In March of 2006, I founded and established the Ayenda Foundation, a youth nonprofit organization, and the mission of Ayenda, which means future in my native language, Dari, is to implement projects that enhance and improve education, health, shelter, and safety of youth in Afghanistan, especially girls. Ayenda is committed to helping children, especially the girls of Afghanistan, grow into intelligent and courageous leaders of the future. On March of 2009, Ayenda Foundation inaugurated its first school for orphans, the Ayenda Learning Center, in the historic and picturesque province of Bamyan. The Ayenda Learning Center, which sits in the shadow of the great Buddha statues that were destroyed by the Taliban in 2001, provides under 50 orphan children with a modern learning facility and a fully functioning computer lab, as well as enhanced vocational training opportunities that have been largely unavailable in this impoverished province. And the key to gender equality is education. School enrollment has increased close to 700% in comparison to 2001. 8 million children, 40% of whom are girls, are now going to school. More than 50 million textbooks are published, and 3,200 schools have been built. The quality of education, however, still needs improvements. 5 million children, the majority of them girls, still cannot go to school due to insecurity or lack of infrastructure. Unfortunately, in southern Afghanistan, more schools are closing down as a result of increased violence and terrorist attacks. In recent years, violent groups have targeted school children, especially young female students. Afghan women, as mothers, sisters, wives, fully understand the sacrifice of your troops staying in Afghanistan. They are grateful to you and your troops for making Afghanistan and the world a safer place for our children. They would like you to help them successfully complete the mission that you have started. We are grateful to our American friends, such as the former First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Laura Bush, for their love and support. Afghan women were asking me to convey their gratitude along with their request for continued support to all of their friends here. In conclusion, I would like to say that Afghan women are fully determined to safeguard their rights. They hope for the continuation of the support of the American people, especially as the United States military withdraws from Afghanistan. Afghan women do want peace, but refuse to submit to the reversal and elimination of their basic rights as a price of reconciliation with the Taliban. Your support is providing access to microcredit, professional training, as well as quality education is key in this period of transition and anxiety in Afghanistan. You can help by raising awareness, creating scholarship for young women, and supporting literacy programs and vocational training for Afghan women. I mean, if making a donation of $100, you can help provide winter clothing for children. Like with $300, school supplies and educational material. They were really not a whole lot of money, but it has such a big impact in countries like Afghanistan and what they went through. And investing in Afghan women and children is investing in peace and stability.